Good morning, Steve Zonard here with Remax, Zonard Associates, Treviso North. Real quick update on the current market, 28,523 units, so we're up 400 since last week, so not a big gain, which is good news. Sales are pretty much the same, 870 sales, so in the last 7 days we had 870 sales, so still flowing quite well there. Inventory, we'll see what happens. Maybe we're going to start slowing down going into the summer months. Ultimately now we're in May. We should have a more pack on now until about June, July. So we should hit that 30,000 mark, no issues there. And obviously that's not good for sellers because that's obviously more competition, meaning less money. A few topics I've been chatting about with clients right now. We're kind of ringing the bell again like we did in 2022 regarding investment properties. So what we're doing now is basically chatting with everybody that has investment properties that we've sold to them that don't have any more use for them. So for single family dwellings, townhomes, anything of this nature that can be replaced, that doesn't have anything attached to it, like a redevelopment, a multiplex, anything that's unique in a way where you can't find it again, sell it. And this is what we're going at right now. The thing is, you got some people are listening, some clients are listening, we're going live in the next week or two, and then there's other clients are not taking the information because based on capital gains. Just remember, it's best to pay taxes on a gain than not have any gains and pay no taxes. So ultimately, what you want to do is get as much money as you can out. And I had a conversation with clients last night, we had if we rewind 5 years ago, and I reminded them we had the same conversation in 22 before the crash happened, and these particular townhouses worth about 8 and change. Now they're in 6 and change, so they lost about $150,000 they lost $150,000. At that time, I was saying you can sell it and then buy in cheaper, which they could have. And again, this is the same conversation having with them now. Best thing to do now, cash out, stick it in a GIC. If you're not into risk-adverse investments like myself, just something that sits there, you can set it and forget it. You know that's appreciating, there's nothing to worry about, and that's it. And just remember, capital gains, it sounds more daunting than what it is. It's 50% of the gain taxed by your tax rate. So for easy math, if you made $200,000, you're going to get taxed on the $100,000. So $200,000, so 50% of that is $100,000. And if your tax bracket, let's just say for easy math, is 30%, then you're going to be paying 30% on the $100,000. So that's going to be $30,000 out of the $200,000 gain. So you're still coming out with $170,000 and $30,000 you're paying towards tax. And that's obviously payable in the next tax year. But the thing is, you need to get on the market now and get sold. As people thinking that this is a regular economy where we have like an up and down shift, it's a little different this time, and it's been like this for the last 10 years. I mean, I'm not going to get into it too much now, but you have to read a lot about history and also regarding the members of parliament right now that are in charge, what their real outline and agenda really clearly is. And there's an agenda. Usually there's an agenda to make the country better. This is just to make it worse. So, and it's not worse for them. It's better for them and terrible for us, let's say, hardworking citizens that just want a better life, get our kids through school and just, have an existence, have a few investment properties, buy a few things, and that's it, and kind of, sail on to the end. And not like that anymore. Canada's changed clearly. It's not the same country. We're not going to have that economic boom anymore. We know construction is dead. High-rise, low-rise. If you think high-rise is going to continue on through purpose-built rentals, the immigration has stopped clearly as of now. And plus, the immigration that was coming in was subsidized totally by the government. It wasn't like the high-quality migrants that we had in the past where they're coming in with, entrepreneurial skills, high education. Even if it wasn't not high education, they were entrepreneurial. We had a whole slew of South Asian, like Indian population that came in and took over the trucking industry. Again, they made tons of money. They've opened up their own, their own companies and stuff like that, and made a fortune doing that. And there's the other side of that where they got into, they're more technical, into like doctors or doctors, lawyers, anything like this, accounting, a lot of that white collar work. But now you kind of look at what's coming in the last, let's say, 5 years, not of the same quality. It's because the people that wanted to migrate here in the past was more opportunity into Canada. Now, if you chat with them, they're better off staying in their own home, in their own country rather, and they're having more opportunities there, and their money goes a lot further. Buddy of mine, Indian buddy of mine, he's talking about a family that wanted to move, was thinking of moving to Canada. He's like, well, I'm going to make $150,000 to $200,000. I can't afford a house. after taxes, not much more money to spend, and quality of living is pretty below average, to be honest. He goes, if they stay in India with $100,000, they'll have a house in a gated community, in a good community. Kids will go to the best schools. They'll have in-house nanny. They'll have a cleaning staff, and some of them even have driving services for that kind of money. So why are we going to move? We're going to suffer. And obviously, India is obviously a huge economic boom if you're on that higher echelon of employees, right? So that's pretty. So let's think of that. So the migration is going to stop. The good migration. Everything else that came in is pretty much subsidized. So now with the high-rise condominiums, do you see still a supply and a demand for them? Not really. I think we have enough right now. There's a lot of supply currently on the market. Low-rise residential construction is dead in the water, clearly. There's some sites that are doing okay based on price, but other ones that are priced considerably average, they're not moving at all, and they're shutting those sites down. So what does that do? That's going to create a lot of unemployment, a lot of high-income unemployment going forward. And let's add on to manufacturing. So manufacturing, obviously there's tariffs that are put on car manufacturing companies, and you got to look at it like this. You got to strip your emotions out of it. If you're basically building the same car, let's just say for a Chevy, like a GM product. So it's an American vehicle, it's built in another country, Mexico or Canada, for a lower price, and then they sell it back to the consumer, but they strip the jobs away from the country. It doesn't make sense. That's what Italy did, and that's why Italy's in a terrible spot currently right now. So obviously this new administration's putting these tariffs together, and people think it's a bargaining chip. It's not. This is for the future of the country. They want to keep these jobs in the country, and that's why you're starting to see everybody flow over. Like we mentioned, Alliston Honda plant, that'll be closed. There's no way that remains open just based on production. Okay, like you remember, 40% of all Hondas are purchased here in America. They can't have all those cars shipping across the border paying tariffs. So what Honda have already talked about and are already doing in Indiana, they're gonna either they said it's gonna be the largest plant outside of Japan. So they have a plant in Indiana now. I don't know if they're doing an expansion to it or there's a whole new plant. So that will take all the production out of, let's say, even if they're in Mexico and in Canada. So that's all going to be combined there. What does that do to Alliston for the future? It'll devastate that. And you got to think, a lot of people moved to Alliston originally. Obviously, the migration always goes north based on affordability. But Alliston was, when affordability was still pretty decent, let's say in the GTA, people were moving to Alliston. Why? Because of the production line. You had well-paying job, pension, benefits, and that's why you live. And also, cost of housing was a lot less, cost of rent, everything was a lot less. So you made more, and you made more money, and you spent less. That's why a lot of people moved to Alliston. A lot of white-collar engineers, workers that worked in the plant lived in and around that area. If that plant gets closed down, you got a huge void to fill that'll never be filled again. So Alliston becomes, again, what it would have been, not a right now like a little robust town. It'll be just basically a sleepy northern town, which what it'll become. So what does that do to house values? You're gonna get a swamp of inventory in the market, and people wanting to get out because you only moved to Alliston at that time, with especially these people, because of that plant. So they're gonna get out and move somewhere else where the jobs are. Subaru just announced that they're stripping, because Canada buys 68,000 Subarus a year, and America buys 667,000 units a year. They don't have any assembly plants in Canada. They only have them in Japan and the U.S. So I know now they're saying they're going to bring some of the popular vehicles that Canada buys, they're going to build them in Japan and ship from Japan straight to Canada. So then again, that's a little bit of a loss on the U.S., but at the same time, 667,000 vehicles are purchased in the States. So they're going to obviously keep this plan and keep it more robust. You got Stellantis, which is Dodge, Fiat, Chrysler, Alfa Romeo, all that. They're shutting down, obviously, in Canada. You had the Ingersoll plant already talk about closure. They're already putting people on less shifts and a permanent closure going forward. You have what is it, Ford mentioned regarding their plant, they don't even need anything in Canada anymore because they can just build onto the plants that they have now, and they have the size and the capacity. You just got to, I guess, bring up another shift and away you go. Then you got all the cars made in the US, and obviously that's going to happen. So manufacturing, construction, immigration, everything's on a standstill there. So what's going to take a hit is obviously housing. Clearly, it doesn't matter how low this rate goes, you're going to get lower prices going forward. So let's just, again, circle around to why I'm saying unload your investment properties now, put the money in some sort of security, and then buy it back if you want to keep the money in the States, or in the Canada rather. 1 to 2 to 3 years later, you can buy that product back, let's say 25% lower than it is today. And let's look at this video in 2 years from now. Let me see. I hope I'm wrong, but I mean, we've timed them pretty good in the last, let's say, four different corrections. What else was there? Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then clearly, you can always look at, if you don't want to take your money out of real estate, you can always look at the products we're selling here in the States. Obviously, I'm going to do a plug for our Florida company. We have townhouses 260, 290, gated communities that are passive income, so basically positive cash flow. And obviously it's in the US, where now we have a clear indication where this country is going for sure for the next 4 years, and hopefully 8. We have $7 to $9 trillion already guaranteed in investment in this country. And remember, every trillion is 1% GDP growth. So if you think the American economy is going to grow 7% in the next 4 to 8 years, this is going to be insane. So time to get in. Have a good day.